In 2010, the third energy experiment undergoes a catastrophic failure. In a single pulse of energy, the research town of Edward City and its military base are swallowed, replaced by a dense prehistoric jungle that crushes the modern architecture. To find the missing citizens and retrieve the experiment's data, the government deploys an elite rescue unit through a time gate. The team is led by Regina, a veteran intelligence operative, and Dylan Morton, a soldier trained for heavy tactical acquisition. The rescue mission falls apart the moment they arrive. As the team establishes their base camp, a pack of velociraptors breaches the perimeter, killing the majority of the platoon before they can even unpack their gear. Only Regina, Dylan, and a soldier named David survive the initial slaughter. They are nearly overtaken by a Tyrannosaurus during their retreat, but David manages to blind the animal with a rocket launcher, buying them enough time to disappear into the foliage. A precise tactical operation has become a scramble for survival. With most of their team dead and their equipment scattered, the duo is forced to navigate an environment where they are no longer at the top of the food chain. When Regina and Dylan return to their extraction point, they find their time gate, the only machine capable of sending them back to 2010, has been smashed beyond repair. The saboteurs are a group of teenagers wearing black leather and heavy helmets. These hostiles show no interest in the rescue mission. Instead, they launch coordinated, violent attacks against the humans to drive them away from the local dinosaur populations. Regina manages to capture one of the attackers, a blonde girl who appears to be in her mid-teens. Despite her human appearance, she seems to have no concept of language, communicating only through animalistic grunts and snarls. Her presence creates a gap in the logic of the mission. There is no record of human inhabitants in the Cretaceous period, yet these teenagers move through the jungle with a native's understanding of the terrain. Stranded and cut off from their own time, Regina and Dylan find themselves trapped between the instinctual violence of the dinosaurs and the calculated aggression of these human anomalies. The mission narrows to a single path: find the boat parts and the data disk required to rebuild a functional portal. Regina and Dylan trek through underwater research labs and volcanic caves, fighting a war of attrition against the wildlife. Their journey eventually brings them to the perimeter of Edward City, the town they were sent to rescue. Inside the gates, they find the evidence of a total massacre. The streets are filled with the remains of the civilian population and the soldiers who tried to defend them. Every person they were sent to save has already been killed. The losses continue as they attempt to flee the ruins. David is caught by an Allosaurus while trying to clear an escape route for his teammates. He manages to push Dylan to safety into the rushing river below before being killed by the massive predator. With David gone and the civilian population erased, the third energy data disk becomes the only thing left to recover. It is the only surviving piece of the world they came from. Regina and Dylan are now the last two people alive in a landscape that has claimed their entire platoon. The rescue mission has failed, leaving them to scavenge for the data in a city that has become a graveyard. Tracing the data disk to an abandoned missile silo, the duo is confronted by a Giganotosaurus, a theropod significantly larger and more aggressive than the T.R.A.T that had been stalking them. The Giganotosaurus establishes its dominance immediately by killing the T.R.A.T in a brief, one-sided struggle before turning its attention toward the facility. Slamming into the supports, the Giganotosaurus triggers an alert. The system interprets this as a terminal threat, leaving the nuclear warhead armed and counting down. Regina makes a final dash into the gas-filled chamber to retrieve the data disk, securing the objective just as the facility begins to detonate. The blast destroys the silo and separates the survivors. Dylan is knocked unconscious by the force of the explosion and swept away by the river's current, leaving Regina to search for him alone. They finally have the third energy disk, but the cost has been total. The team is broken, and the duo is physically separated in a world that is actively burning around them. Dylan wakes up on a riverbank to find the blonde girl waiting for him. She doesn't attack. Instead, she leads him through a futuristic metallic gateway into a high-tech facility hidden deep within the jungle. A terminal inside plays a holographic message from the facility superintendent, an older, battle-worn Dylan Morton. He reveals the truth. Regina and Dylan didn't travel back to the past. They are standing in the ruins of the year 2055. This log details the Noah's Ark project. Scientists realized the timeline was skewing, threatening to erase humanity. Their solution? Move the dinosaurs forward into 2055. But the time gate malfunctioned, trapping the researchers in the future with the dinosaurs. The surviving children were placed into medical incubators for protection. Because those machines were calibrated for dinosaurs, they overwrote the children's cognitive development with reptilian instincts, creating the helmeted protectors roaming the jungle. The final log entry reveals the blonde girl's identity. Her name is Paula, and she is Dylan's own daughter, born and raised in this dying future. The history of 2055 is a record of human error. A civilization tried to engineer its way out of a space-time anomaly, only to leave its descendants to survive as feral guardians of the predators that replaced them. An orbital laser strike from the facility's defense satellite obliterates the Giganotosaurus outside, but the resulting shockwave causes the facility's internal structure to buckle. Regina reunites with Dylan and Paula as they reach the final working time gate, but as the metal ceiling gives way and collapses, a massive server rack falls, heavily pinning Paula's legs to the floor. Dylan tries to lift the wreckage, but the support beams are already groaning under the weight of the facility above. He realizes he cannot free her before the self-destruct sequence completes. Dylan hands the third energy disk to Regina and commands her to step through the portal. He refuses to leave, choosing to stay in the wreckage with Paula rather than abandon his daughter again. His final words are a demand. Regina must use the data to stabilize the third energy, build a new gate, and return to save them. As the facility's support beams buckle, Regina steps into the portal alone. She returns to 2010 with the disk, while Dylan stays behind in the wreckage of 2055, holding his daughter's hand as the facility begins its final collapse.